I'd like now to invite Mr. Sung Woo Kim, and he is a research assistant at the Korea Research Institute of Ships and Ocean Engineering. And he will, after everything is finished with setting up the presentation, he will tell us about how to design and implement a capacity building program in Kirbati Island in the Pacific for OTEC and related activities. So please, Mr. Kim, have the floor.
Thanks. Well, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm here to talk about this capacity building program that KRISO designed for Tarawa, Kiribati, where we plan to demonstrate 1 megawatt OTEC plant. So just before we start talking about this program, I want to introduce you about, just tell you a little bit about Kiribati. So it's a country made up of 32 coral atolls and 1 island, and it's right in the middle of Pacific Island. I think it's in the program at the project map. You can see where the Kiribati is, and as you can see, it's at it has one of the most ideal condition for OTEC. It has its surface seawater temperature is about 29 degrees Celsius all year round. And just to tell you a little bit about Kiribati, its exclusive economic zone is as big as the United States, all the states combined. So its main industry is fishing or giving out the fishing license to other countries who come there to fish tuna. And so it has plentiful ocean resources, but it's suffering from lack of food, energy, and water. So it's all depending on the imported food. We've been there 3 times now, and all the rice, vegetables, fruits are essentially coming from Australia or New Zealand. We went to the supermarket one time. The carrot, about half of this microphone, is like 3 Australian dollars, which is ridiculous for a company, which I'll show you, whose GDP is about 6,000 US dollars. So I'll like to tell you more about Kiribati more in economical measures. So that's the blue bar is the electricity used per capita. So it's about 200 kilowatt hours, which is about 50 times less than Korea, 40 times less than Netherlands, and a lot less than USA. And just to give you an idea about how much 200 kilowatt hour is, if you have a 1 incandescent light that consumes 100 watt, and you put that on for a whole year, that's about 876 kilowatt hour. So we can assume that most of the population actually do not use electricity at all. It's really the government facilities and the businesses that use electricity. And the GDP is a lot lower than developed countries like Netherlands, USA, and South Korea. And the problem that is very prevalent in Kiribati is the obesity. It's coming from lack of vegetables and diverse food resources. So I heard from Kiribati people that some parents even feed their children sugar water when they're like 2 months, 3 months old, because they cannot afford to buy milk. And water is not so available around the island. It's just comparing with other countries. And also just look at the y-axis is the log scale. They do not have much land for agriculture, and a lot of land is very salty. So compared to other countries, they really lack capacity to have food resources from the land. So that's where OTEC will be really important, so providing clean water and minerals for aquaculture and agriculture, so first in the future. Also, you can see the CO2 emissions they rank about 160th out of all the 200 something countries around the world. So they don't contribute much to this global climate change. But Kiribati is the one of the first countries that's going to be disappear from sea level rise if it happens as we predict. And we want to tell you a little bit background of how we ended up in Kiribati. So in 2014, former president of Anutetong Kiribati came to Korea for Yasu Expo. And as Mr. Lemmy Blocker told us about Caribbean islands' request for help for technology that can help them with their issues. Former President Anutetong asked Korean government for a technology that can help them solve their food, water, and energy issues. And KRISO, as you know, we have been working on OTEC, desalination, agriculture, and artificial seafood resources farming. So we thought it is right for us to go there and demonstrate our technology there. I mean, we've been also looking for an ideal place to demonstrate 1 mega OTEC plant, so it was a good mix, a good encounter, I guess. So we are now in a long relationship. So yeah, so now Kiribati, we're trying to demonstrate our plant there. And this is where SSUA, this capacity building program, comes in, because a lot of ODA projects often fail at the exit plan. A lot of projects, from small projects of digging water wells or to big projects like diesel generators or building desalination plants in developing countries, they often fail at the point where when the plants have some technical difficulties that local people cannot solve due to not enough technological or capacity transference, that plant just becomes garbage. So in Tarawa, capital of Kiribati, where we plan to install 1 megawatt plant, there are few desalination plants that are no longer operating because of this very issue. So we want to prevent that from happening, so that's why we are building this capacity program. Just to show you who's involved in this, so 1 megawatt OTEC project is mainly developed by KRISO, supported by Korean government, and to build this capacity program in Tarawa, we wanted to work with local stakeholders. So University of the South Pacific is a big university in the Pacific region. They have schools, campuses in more than 17 Pacific Island countries. And SPC, Pacific Community, they do a lot of work in that area. And this program, SSUA, is supported by Korea International Cooperation Agency. So bringing all these stakeholders together, the program is born. And just to show you what our goal is, we want to keep the CO2 emissions as low where it is now, and then we definitely want to increase the food resources to the people of Tarawa. As Professor Ikegami told us about, oyster farming, seaweed farming, I think we can do that there as well. And we also in the future want to provide clean water through desalination, and also electricity, and also provide some new job opportunities for people there. So a lot of tuna ships there, they catch tuna there and bring it all the way back to Korea or China, and then process the tuna, because Tarawa doesn't have capacity to run the factory. They don't have water or electricity. So if they can have electricity and water there, I'm sure they can hire local people and bring some employment and economic activities there. Just to show you, just take a step back and how and when all this is happening. So our 1 megawatt OTEC demonstration plant has this kind of timeline, and this year, 2016, we are designing and fabricating session parts such as heat exchanger, and then we are doing SSUA, sort of introduction of capacity building program in Tarawa. And we have our future plans. We'll just talk more in later. So yeah, that's a little overview. And just show you the lecturers that have gone to Tarawa and will go to Tarawa. We have lecturers from Korea, Fiji, Hawaii. These are experts in areas of OTEC, desalination, agriculture, aquaculture, seaweed cultivation, bioenergy. So it's all related. So OTEC, and then what you can do with deep sea water after OTEC. We also have experts in logistics and finance. Also, what's the last thing? Diving as well, because they have all these marine resources for food, but not many local people know how to dive safely and actually cultivate their resources. So that's something we also want to help them with. Just as we said, so seawater development, seawater usage, water quality control, and then helping them write some project write-ups to request for funds later on their own. To give you an overview of what we have done, so first quarter we were in Tarawa in May. We introduced our program, and then we taught about OTEC, agriculture, and coastal erosion prevention in second quarter in July, third quarter in September. And then we're going there in the middle of November for our final quarter to wrap things up. And most importantly, these are the participants to our program so far. And the participants are coming from USP students in Tarawa. And also there are students from Kirbati Institute of Technology. And also there are officials from various ministries of Kirbati government. The officials from Public Utilities and Board, Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Ministry of Public Utilities and Board, and PUB. Yeah. And so these are some pictures of our activities. On the left, we have Dr. Mariko Tofinga handing out our books and pens, equipments to students. And then we have professors teaching about eco-toilet and agriculture. And then other classes on desalination, seaweed. And we also happened to run into some documentary guys from Belgium. So that's Professor Kim being interviewed about the program by the Belgium guys. So some lessons learned so far is that we got in there thinking our own ideas, and then when we got there, of course, our ideas got shaken and broken, so we had to adapt. So we expected that a lot of people will just show up, but that wasn't the case. We had to really talk to our local stakeholders, USP, and ask them to advertise the program. So what they did was, in Tarawa, people listen to radio all the time, so they did radio broadcasting like all 2 weeks before our program. So that really helped. And then another thing is, before you throw a party, you gotta think of how to clean up. So when we transfer technology, we hope to be not there. Korean government and KRISO hope to be not there actually, but we want the local people to take care of everything. So we're trying to build relationships with USP, SPC, and the ministries there to have this strong bond so we can really work together. Also, like, we really learned it's important to make the party for everyone, because projects like this that involve energy, water, and food, you want to include people from all different sectors and know what's going on together. And lastly, you really want to talk to the people and know what they want and what they need, so you can provide them what they need and reach the goal together. And this is our future plan for further capacity building. So SSUA is, we think, is just introduction. We plan to have more advanced courses in desalination and agriculture and seafood farming. And we also plan to invite 2 SSUA participants to Korea and kind of train them about the operation and maintenance of OTEC system. And last thing is where we really need a collaboration between OTEC experts that are here. we have been requested by some Pacific countries about the possibility of building a OTEC education center in the Pacific region. So to have your ideas and insights shared all together, we prepared a survey paper. So maybe during the break, you can each take paper, this survey, and then share your really precious insights and suggestions with us, and then we'll plan to update you about what everyone thinks about this. So yeah, we hope this will really help Tarawa to solve their problems, and also kind of push us, kind of give us more inspiration, motivation to work harder to demonstrate 1 megawatt capacity OTEC plant and achieve self-reliant island there. And this is our just picture after the workshop. So thank you for your time, and please help us build this together.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is important to realize that development of renewable energy technology like OTEC can also be an important tool in economic development. So good to hear that and how you try to pursue that. Other questions? So one question that I got is, okay, one, capacity building of course is important, but you also need to say at a given moment you need to get to investments, and then there is real money at stake. How do you have any vision how that will continue? Are you also prepared to support that, or do you think of other funding?
Yes, so you're talking about the investments, future investments after this project.
Future investment in hardware.
In hardware, yeah. So our plan now is, because the electricity that will be made through our 1 megawatt plant is not going to be given free to the residents in Tarawa. It will be sold at the fair price with the right PPA. So our plan now is to set the right PPA and sell the electricity to people there.
Okay.
And then have that money for operation and maintenance, and then if we have some leftover, make a fund for further spread of OTEC in that Pacific region.
Yes, there is a question at the back. Where is the mic? Oh, here is another question. First this one, and then it's your turn.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. My name is Takeshi Yasunaga from Saga University. And you mentioned about first some ODA program for the islands. They failed for the desalination plant. Yes. So I wonder if you mentioned about the difference between your desalination and the other ODA desalination.
So desalination we are trying to do is after OTEC plant. So first we want to build the OTEC plant, build it in Korea, test it in Korea, and transport it to Tarawa. After we have OTEC plant, then we plan to add on desalination facility to the existing OTEC plant.
So you mean it's more easier for operation or something like that so you can build the capacity for such operation for the desalination? Maybe I try to say,
Yeah, I would say the difficulty of operating the plant is not that different. We're still going to be using probably reverse osmosis. And we're not sure. We might have some new technology by then. But the difference will be that we'll focus and emphasize more on the training of the local people, so that when any technological difficulties, which is going to happen because it's a machine, that local people can take care of. We're not sure which country actually built a desalination plant in Tarawa, but once the country people left, no one in Tarawa knew about the system or components. That first time, the problem with membranes happened, they sort of gave up because they knew nothing about it, and the people who built it wasn't there. So That's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. Thank you. The gentleman at the back.
Thank you. In countries such as Hawaii and Japan, there's well-established port facilities, there's construction companies, there's crane vessels, all the type of equipment that you need for a project of this nature. In somewhere like Kirbati, are you starting from scratch?
Are you asking if you're building everything there?
Well, basically, are there companies and port facilities that help you a great deal, or will all that have to be created as part of this process?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question correctly, but the parts will be designed and built in Korea, and then will be transferred to Tarawa.
Yeah, things like ports,
yes, ports,
harbors, quaysides, cranes, crane vessels.
Oh, yes.
That type of equipment.
Yes.
Do you have that available, or does all that have to come from outside?
We think, fortunately for us, Tarawa has been, I think Australia company, McConnell construction company, had been working on their roads recently, and they brought tons of like cranes and all the construction equipments there. And it's not confirmed yet, but what we've heard from the locals there is that it's gonna cost the company more money to take them back to their country. So one of the big money person in Tarawa who runs like 3 hotels and like has like 5 ships, he's going to buy all the equipments and I guess build his own empire of like construction company, whatever. So we're trying to see if that's what's actually gonna happen, and if that's what's gonna happen, we're gonna work with that. But we're also trying to see what plan B or C could be. But we don't think we're gonna bring everything all the way from Korea to Tarawa. We're gonna try to use what's already there. And in terms of port, their port is large enough to, I guess, absorb all the parts and components for OTEC plant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. There's one more question here.
Was KRISO involved in terms of the legal aspect, the legal bills, and also the environment assessment?
Yes, so environment impact assessment is one of the most important things before start of the project. So yeah, we've been talking to Ministry of Environment of Kiribati since May, and we are now at the initial phases of drafting environment impact assessment, and we've done surveys. We've done water quality survey. We've done the marine life survey. So we've brought some expert divers and seaweed experts, and we dove into the ocean of the Tarawa and got all the data. So yeah, we are preparing the documents, and then we are abiding by the laws of Kiribati government, respecting it, and then informing them about our activities and so forth. So
thank you.
Okay, one last question from myself as a university professor. I'm of course always interested in training material. Are you intending to? You have developed all kinds of material. Have you thought of making that open source or whatever, or make that available in one or the other way?
I think I have to ask that to program manager,
okay.
Dr. Kim.
Can you answer that, or will you answer that later?
Actually, in the future, we are going to share this material for capacity building for tropical islands.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, say you going to hand out a survey, and we are moving to the coffee break now, so maybe it's a good moment to stand there and hand it out to everyone who wants to have a copy of the survey. So for you, thank you very much